Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to this Magdalene message, this Christmas Eve message. Before I went live today, I was just sat in contemplation, in a meditation, really, just feeling into whether this message was for right now, for today, or whether it was for a little bit later on. And I kept getting the pull to bring this through now. And there's a big reason for this. So we're going to be talking about the final initiation of 2022. And it's very pertinent for right now, for around Christmas, solstice, just before the New Year, the Gregorian New Year. And it's important because it's like a final release, and unraveling. And we know that, or we see and we hear that, Christmas or anything that you may celebrate around this time, whether it's Yule, Hanukkah, anything, whatever you celebrate or don't, this time there is always an influx of Christ light. There is always a imbuing of energy, an opening of the heart, and a grounding down. The Magdalenes would say to us many times over, we are that bridge between heaven and earth, fully human and fully divine. But what does that mean? And what does that mean for everyone right now? Well, many beings on earth right now are in probably one of the biggest initiations that they have ever been in. And what I've been receiving, and I'm sure many others as well, because we're all channels bringing through unique interpretations of the same message, really. But what I've been receiving, experiencing myself, and seeing with others who share with me is this culmination, this reconciliation of trauma, of karma, of shadows. And if you've worked with me before, especially in shadow work, you'll have heard me say that it really is like a rose blossoming open, or peeling the layers of an onion, whatever analogy works for you, whenever we're looking at ourselves and peeling back the layers. Because the truest, most divine version of ourselves comes from the heart, comes from bringing that source energy of ourselves down through that heart, to look through the eyes of the heart, to hear through the eyes of the heart, through the ears of the heart, to feel, to experience all through the heart. Yet at the same time, we came here on earth to be fully human, which is to feel, to see, smell, taste, touch, to have that individual aspect of self, that individual spark of the divine, and make it our own. And we do that through the experiences we have with one another, who are all also individual, unique aspects of the divine, personified. Our experiences, our challenges on this earth really are the things that hone our path, our reality, our characteristics, our personality. And it is those things that we experience which navigate us left or right on our path and help us walk the plan that we have already created from the divine spark of ourselves. So when we say fully divine, that is to bring all of what we see outside of ourselves, all of who we are, our shadows, our traumas, our wounds, bring it back to the heart. Because the ego, which is another way of calling the personality, the ego self, the individual self, the unique you, is created to also help keep you safe, to keep this body safe, this vehicle that we're here in, safe and connected. So whenever we experience something that is challenging for us, that causes a split or a divergence in our human self and divine self, because really they are one and the same, they just see from very different angles. What we're here to do on earth is to bring those two sights, those perceptions together into harmony, into unity. And when we do that, we find this common ground, we find this common love for all beings, all things, all actions, all words, regardless, because none of it would be personal. All is divine. Yet it is a journey to get back there. We have this veil of amnesia for a reason. And at Christmas time, especially, this is enhanced because of all the light pouring in, because of the time of year, the star child returning. That doesn't have to just be the Christ story. There are many stories pretty much exactly the same. There is a star child that arrives. And what's really interesting is because of all the light that shines a torch, it shines a flashlight upon the parts of us that are still looking a different way, the parts of us that still have resistance, trauma, shadows, things to be reconciled, things in the nervous system, in the body. You'll have heard me say before that we do spiral through time. Nothing is really linear. It really is all happening right now. But it also is like a spiral. And so this year, now more than ever, we are able to get deeper into the center of that spiral. And there will be because that always is with humanity, with humans, the human part of us, there will always be a projection that will want to happen from the ego. Whenever we feel hurt or upset, even if we don't know why that has happened, we will always want to push that out so we feel protected and also feel that we're not going through something alone. We see it in another. This very quickly can become a shadow because if we allow it, and as humans, this is a normal thing for the human self, is to not see within self something which we only see outside of us. So let me say that in a different way. We see within another a part of us that we either resonate with fully. So if we see something we really like or enjoy, we see something that we're striving for, that we already are. But also it works in the complete opposite. The shadows, the things that we don't like, the things that trigger us, we see them in another, but perhaps don't see them in ourselves because it's so deep, so deeply rejected, so far apart, those two views of the divine self and the human self. And so when we say the final initiation of 2022, what is that? Well, and I pulled some cards here just to really just see what the Magdalenes wanted to say here, and just with some visuals as well. And I found this very powerful because on the bottom of the deck, we have the surrender card. It is a time more than now more than ever, to surrender into who we are, into feeling, into letting the flow complete itself, into unraveling, going through the spiral to when someone or something has triggered you, to let that feeling that you're experiencing not be projected onto them, not let your mind create a new story, a false story about someone or something in front of you, but to take it back, to unravel and unweave and get deeper into the center of that spiral, because in the center of that spiral is eternal love, is the light of who you are, your divine spark. And so I say this because at this time there is a lot of triggering happening for many people, myself included. I'm going through a lot of process right now. And I'm so humbled and in awe and in much appreciation and love for those that are helping me through that, because those that are helping me through are also those that are triggering it, right? And it takes great courage and strength and stamina, all which you have, to recognize and discern when your mind is trying to tell you a story about someone because you've been triggered, to create a story to justify while you're right in feeling what you're feeling and projecting it out. But the divine in us says, no, bring it back in. Let it be the vehicle and the fuel to propel you back through your own timeline, to see where you've experienced similarities. Because whatever you're experiencing in the now moment, especially if it's challenging, is not to do with who is in front of you, all their actions, all their words. It's to do with a pattern and a rejection of self, a separation or fragmentation of self. And Christmas really is about unity, about joy, about fun, about love. So how do we bring it back to that from this place of detachment, from this place of pain? Well, it's interesting, the cards that I drew here, we had crucifixion came up first, followed by resurrection. Because for a new version of ourselves to birth, an old version does have to die, but that death process, it can be challenging and painful. You saw me write about pain and my interpretation of that on a post a couple of days ago. And we really get to choose whether we stay in that pain or not. But the deeper something is rooted, and this is very deep stuff that's coming up for people right now, if we let ourselves go back through the spiral, is that, and it all comes back to how we feel about ourselves, within ourselves. Do we feel safe within ourselves? Have we shown ourselves that love and that compassion? Have we caused our body, our mind, a part of ourselves to not feel safe in our own skin? Have we shown that to ourselves through our own actions to self, through our own words to self? And so what came after the resurrection, those two cards, crucifixion, that eternal death, because to die is to simply to release the fragmentation, the illusions of separation. That's all that is dying. It's not actually you. You can never die. It is the illusion that we've created to try and protect ourselves. Yet what actually happens is, instead of feeling together and in love, we create fragmentation through doing that. So to bring it back to union and unity, look at this, the universal Christ. Now, this is more than just one man that may or may not have walked the earth a few thousand years ago. This universal Christ energy is something that everyone has access to. It's that golden aura, that golden hue. And so the greatest initiation, the last initiation that we're facing right now is this journey back to love, this journey back to self, this revelation within self, to recognize that nothing anyone is doing right now, as challenging as this is actually being done towards you. It's our perception based off previous illusion. The human part of us being disconnected from the divine part of us. And so feel it, let your nervous system release what it has stored. Because I'll tell you now, feel into this, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But I know from my process the past couple of days that even yesterday or the day before, when I was wanting to pin a story upon someone very dear to me, or not me, not my true self, but my wounded self wanted to pin a story upon someone. And my heart, thank goodness, was able to get the message through that that is not them and that is not me to create a story about anyone else. Because really everything that is happening outside of us, everything that's ever happened from birth onwards, yes, we may have brought things in from other lifetimes, and yes, when we're young, we are absorbing what is around us, but at the same time, we also chose that to help us walk this path. We chose that to help us to open our heart. We chose that to bring our human self, our full human, present in everything we're feeling, perceiving, creating, to our fully divine self that knows that everything is okay, everything is love, everything is in order, everything is in joy. The secret, really, at the end of this year, of this Christmas time, really lies in our ability to bring both parts of self together. and to let the heart, no matter what we're feeling, because I tell you now, the feelings that I've had and the memories that have come through the past couple of days, they've been complex and they've been very challenging, to say the least. Yet through it all, somewhere within me knew that it was just something deeper wanting to emerge. And each year, each time we experience something, we get to unravel another layer, another petal opens to give us access to that sweet pollen and nectar of the flower within, that eternal stream of love. And every time we allow ourselves to feel whatever is wanting to be felt, especially the challenges, when we allow ourselves to feel those things, we open our heart more. We bring more of who we truly are, our divine self, through to embody into our human. Whenever there is a story wanting to create either about ourselves or another, have the strength of mind, of will, of heart, of truth, to choose another story. And even if one of them is continually riding through and wanting to create, counter it, bring another one in. Because even in doing that, that will dilute any false story, so that instead of trauma compacting, it can unravel, go down into the earth and heal, go up into the skies and heal, release itself within yourself. When you know thy shadows, you know thyself. When you know, when you allow yourself to see outwards and to go, am I offering love out in every thought, in every action, every word? No. Am I able to in this moment? Maybe it's a no, and that's okay. That's okay. It's okay to communicate that as well. But in those moments, when the shadows are wanting to jump out because it feels too much to hold in, let them express, but let your heart also have space to create a story of the heart in those moments, those brief moments where your nervous system is resting and there is space to receive that inspiration. I know this year this end of year is a challenge for many right now. It seems to be more so than others, and at the same time it seems to be more joyful than other years have been. Such a spectrum that we have, of course, because here on earth that is what we have, is a spectrum, duality and polarity. Yet when we can feel safe, or tell ourselves, even if we don't feel it, if we can tell ourselves that we are safe in those moments that we don't feel it, and if we can allow the waves of the oceans, the tides, the undercurrents to move through and do what they need to do so that the heart has space to speak, your community, your union, your love, your partnership, your friendship, without of yourself, so outside of you and within you, will get stronger. Because instead of having judgment for the shadows, for the thoughts, for the feelings, for the projections that we may have, instead of judging them, we see them as a process. We see them as a process back to love, back to who we are, back to our heart. And so if you resonate with this message, thank you for liking this video, for commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I have put a sale on right now for a shadow integration course that I had the honor of co-hosting with Melissa Virtue. It's very powerful. We look at every aspect of the shadow self, from the inner child, the wounded inner child, from the inner mother and a father, from union partnership, from narcissist, empath, all these things, all these topics. We look at all of these. There is quantum healings, activations, light language attunements, lots of bonus content. It's a pre-recorded course to go through at your own leisure. And it's on a 20% reduction right now through to the end of the year. If that calls to you, it is on my website, aliceheath.com. And throughout the whole Christmas season, festive season, I'm still offering the quantum healing containers, the 3-day quantum healing, the Pleiadian healings, the blue rose, and the Arcturian healings of the golden sun. So If any of those call to you, or if you're just curious, feel welcome to browse on my website. I wish you all the most joyful Christmas, New Year. Allow yourself to recognize the divinity in yourself, especially in those moments of contrast, especially if you're feeling the compression right now. That cold does not become diamond from gentle breeze. It is that compression. And that's how our frequency rises, through integration of human and divine, from integration of shadow and light. To be a light worker, we must be a shadow worker. Find a way of feeling comfortable in the uncomfortable and watch yourself rebirth from those moments of ego death. It is a powerful time right now. And I send you all so much love. And I thank you all so much for your love, your support this year. And I will see some of you on the 10th of January when I co-host with Tim Wild, the Great Ascension Crystal of Orion. And I'll see some of you in person on the 3rd of February in Hampshire when I do an evening talk on the Way of the Rose. So much love to you all. Bye for now.